Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, hit that like button and subscribe, because what I'm about to confess might be the most messed up thing that's ever happened to me. I never thought I'd end up drunk on my classmate's secret tonic, or that his insanely hot model mom would be the one to pull me out of it in the most unexpected, intimate way. I was just your average stressed-out college guy, dead-end part-time job, crushing loneliness after my last breakup, and constant pressure from my family to not fail out. Nights blurred together in my tiny dorm, staring at the ceiling, wondering why everything felt so empty. Then one random Thursday night, my roommate dragged me to his place for study group, and everything changed when I took that first sip of his hidden family tonic. The tonic tasted sweet at first, like honey mixed with something warm and durable that made my head spin in the best way. My classmate laughed it off as just a family recipe for energy, but within minutes my body felt electric. My loneliness melting away into this hazy confidence. Heat spread through my veins, slow and unstoppable, like a secret I didn't want to name. That's when I first saw her, his mom, a former runway model still in her prime, walking through the living room in a silk robe that barely stayed tied. The fabric whispered against her skin with every step, loose enough that my eyes caught the soft movement underneath before I forced them away. Our eyes met for a second too long, and I felt this forbidden spark I immediately tried to bury. She smiled, polite and warm, like I was just another friend of her son's, but something in the air shifted. Heavier, warmer. Over the next week I started studying at their house almost every day. His mom was always around, offering snacks or asking about my classes in that soft, caring voice that wrapped around me like quiet permission. She smelled like vanilla and expensive perfume, a scent that started following me into my dreams, clinging to my thoughts even when I was alone in my cold dorm. I told myself it was harmless, just nice to be around a real family instead of my empty dorm, but every time she leaned over to pour me more tonic, my pulse raced. Her robe would slip just a little at the shoulder, revealing the warm curve of skin glowing under the lamplight. I'd hold my breath, pretending to focus on my notes while the tonic hummed louder in my blood, making everything feel closer, more dangerous. Why did her nearness feel like gravity pulling me in? I was supposed to be there for the study sessions, for the energy boost that kept me going through exams, but my eyes kept drifting to where she moved through the kitchen, graceful and effortless. Each sip made the room warmer, skin more sensitive to the faint brush of air when she passed behind my chair. I kept telling myself to stop noticing. She was my classmate's mom. Off limits in every way that mattered. Yet the tonic made resistance feel fuzzy, distant, like a voice whispering from far away, while her vanilla scent filled the space between us. Her arm grazing mine through the thin fabric of my shirt. The contact lasted less than a second, but it sent a shiver straight down my spine. I froze, heart hammering, wondering if she felt it too or if I was imagining the way her breath caught for just a moment. The tonic kept working its quiet magic, turning ordinary evenings into something charged with almost moments. It'd catch her watching me sometimes when she thought I wasn't looking, her eyes soft but curious, like she was seeing past the stressed college kid to something hungrier underneath. And every night when I left their house, the ache followed me home. That warm herbal sweetness still on my tongue, her scent lingering on my clothes. The memory of how close she'd stood, making sleep impossible. I knew I should stay away, focus on my own life, but the pull was already too strong. Like falling slowly, helplessly, toward something I cowled name yet. I started coming over even more after that, the tonic pulling me back like an invisible thread I couldn't cut. One evening my classmate disappeared into the shower, the water running distant and steady, and she settled beside me on the couch without a word. The cushion dipped under her weight, her thigh pressed lightly against mine through the thin lounge pants she wore, warm and unyielding. She didn't shift away. Instead she turned her head, that soft smile curving her lips, and asked in a low voice if the tonic was easing my stress lately. My face burned hot. Inside my head I was screaming at myself, this is your friend's mom. Stop noticing how her robe slips just off one shoulder. Stop feeling the heat radiating from her skin so close I could almost taste it. I managed a nod, words stuck somewhere in my throat. The vanilla scent of her drifted over me stronger than usual, mixing with the faint herbal aftertaste still lingering on my tongue. Jam pulsed from met in my ears. Every breath I took felt heavier, like the air between us had thickened into something alive and hungry. I told myself to move, to create even an inch of space, but my body refused, locked in that magnetic pull. She kept talking about how nice it was having someone young and energetic around the house again, her voice wrapping around me like quiet permission I knew I shouldn't accept. Her hand rested on the cushion near my knee, not touching, yet close enough that the warmth bled through the fabric and made my skin prickle. Why couldn't I look away from the way her robe clung to the curve of her form? The tonic hummed louder in my blood, turning ordinary conversation into something charged, dangerous. I was drowning in the almost of it all the way her thigh stayed pressed there, steady and deliberate, while she laughed softly at some small joke I barely heard. Guilt clawed at me, sharp and insistent. He's in the next room. This is wrong on every level. Yet the craving only grew, sweet and unstoppable, like a storm building just beyond the horizon. A few days later the boundary cracked further, accidental and electric. I needed water after another long study session and wandered toward the bathroom without thinking. The door was ajar, steam curling out like an invitation I didn't mean to accept. She stood there fresh from the shower, a towel wrapped loosely around her. When she turned at the sound of my step, it slipped for half a second, smooth skin glowing in the warm light, the graceful lines of her body that spoke of years in front of cameras. Vanilla filled the humid air, thick and intoxicating. She didn't scream or scramble to cover herself. Instead, she let out a soft laugh, calm and knowing, and said she'd been in front of lenses her whole life, no need to be shy now. I backed out fast, muttering apologies, heart slamming against my ribs so hard I thought she'd hear it, but that image burned behind my eyes all night. Back in my dorm, the tonic hit harder than ever, waves of heat rolling through me while I replayed the moment in my mind. My hand wandered under the covers, guilt twisting tight with raw need. Her name almost slipping from my lips before I caught it. I shouldn't want this. I shouldn't be imagining her scent on my skin, her laugh echoing low and warm. Yet sleep came restless, tangled in the ache I couldn't shake. The next time I was over, everything shifted again. Classmate had downed more of the tonic than usual and passed out early on the couch, his breathing deepened even. I found myself in the kitchen, still buzzing, restless energy humming under my skin. She appeared in the doorway, eyes soft with concern when she saw how shaky I looked. "You need to recover properly," she murmured, stepping closer. Her cool fingers found my temples, massaging in slow circles that sent sparks racing down my neck. The touch lingered longer than it should have, sliding gently along my skin, warm breath brushing my ear when she leaned in. I whispered that we shouldn't, voice cracking with the weight of what this meant. Her son sleeping just rooms away, the friendship I was risking with every heartbeat. She only shushed me gently, a sound so tender it unraveled something deep inside me. Her lips grazed my ear then, light as a secret, sending electricity straight through my veins, hotter than any tonic. The world narrowed to that single point of contact, her vanilla scent enveloping me, the faint tremble in her fingers telling me she felt it too. My mind screamed to pull back, to remember who she was, but my body leaned in despite myself, caught in the gravity of her nearness, the almost kiss hovering there like a promise neither of us could yet voice. 2 nights later, the tonic had sunk its claws so deep I barely recognized myself anymore. I was crashing in their guest room again, the walls feeling closer than ever, my skin prickling with a heat that no amount of cold showers could touch. The door creaked open softly in the dark, and there she was, framed by the faint hallway light, wearing nothing but a thin nightgown that whispered against her skin with every step. "You look like you need real relief," she breathed, voice low and sure, closing the distance until the mattress dipped under her weight. Her body pressed close, warm and confident, the vanilla scent of her wrapping around me like a secret I was helpless to refuse. The way she moved, slow, knowing, every shift pulling me deeper into something I couldn't name but couldn't stop craving. My hands found the curve of her waist through the fabric, trembling, and for one endless moment the world narrowed to the heat between us. Her breath mingling with mine, the faint tremble in her frame echoing my own. I crossed the line completely that night. No more almost-s. No more hovering promises. Just surrender, raw and total, her experienced presence guiding me into a storm I had no hope of escaping. And in the quiet after, lying there with her heartbeat steady against me, the guilt didn't crash and right away. It waited, patient and cruel, letting the afterglow linger just long enough to make the fall feel endless. We kept stealing those moments after that, each one sharper, more dangerous than the last. Quick brushes of fingers under the table when her son stepped out for a call, her knee pressing deliberately against mine during dinner while we all pretended everything was normal. Late at night, when the house grew still, she'd pull me into her room for another recovery session, the tonic still humming in my veins like an accomplice. Her hands knew exactly how to unravel me, soft and sure, the low sounds she made sending electricity straight through my chest. Every time felt better, hotter, the way her body responded making me forget, for those stolen minutes, how wrong it all was. The silk of her sheets clung to us both, smooth and cool at first, then warm from our shared heat, burning the sensation into my memory so deeply that even days later, the feel of any smooth fabric against my palm would trigger an instant take. A flash of her scent, her whispered name, but afterward, God, the guilt always came rushing back, heavy and suffocating. It's my classmate. This is his mom. What the hell am I doing to him? To myself? I'd lie awake staring at the ceiling, heart pounding with shame, swearing this had to be the last time. Yet morning would come, the tonic would call, and did find myself sipping again, drawn back to her like gravity I couldn't fight. The hunger only grew, mixing pleasure and regret into something addictive and terrifying. Things started to tangle in ways I hadn't seen coming. My classmate began noticing how often I lingered after study sessions, how my excuses for staying late grew thinner. You and Mom getting along pretty well, huh? She'd say with a casual laugh that made my stomach twist. She held every card, teasing me with another small dose of the tonic when I hesitated, her eyes promising more only if I played along. Relax, this is just us helping each other unwind, she'd whisper in the dark, her fingers tracing lazy patterns that left me breathless and trapped. The power she had over me was intoxicating and frightening. I felt addicted, caught between the dizzying high of her nearness and the constant fear of a door opening at the wrong second, footsteps in the hall, a voice calling out my name. The silk sheets in her room became my secret trigger, the texture alone enough to flood me with heat, even when I was alone miles away. Every smooth surface I touched pulled me right back into those moments, her vanilla scent ghosting through my thoughts, the memory of her confident movements making my pulse race against my will. I knew I was sinking deeper, the line between relief and drew unblurring faster than I could catch my breath. And just when I thought I could handle the tightrope, she leaned in one evening, lips brushing my ear with a new edge to her voice. One afternoon, an old slow R&B track floated through the house, the kind she once mentioned loving on quiet evenings. We were already tangled in that familiar pull, her warmth so close it felt like drowning in silk and vanilla when the melody wrapped around us both. Suddenly the full weight of everything crashed down. Her son was right downstairs, laughing at some game on his phone, trusting me like a brother. And here I was, lost in his mother, every breath we shared another betrayal I couldn't take back. I pulled away just enough to breathe, heart slamming against my ribs. We have to stop, I whispered, the words trembling on my lips even as my hands stayed on her, refusing to obey. The shame hit like a cold wave, chilling the heat that still lingered between us. She looked at me with those knowing eyes, soft yet unyielding, and for a second I almost believed we could. But the music kept playing, slow and aching, and the gravity between us only tightened. The breaking point came 2 days later, sharp and unforgiving. We were in her room again. The door barely clicked shut, her fingers already tracing that dangerous path along my arm when footsteps echoed in the hallway. Close, too close. Classmate's voice called out something casual about dinner, his hand already turning the knob. In one fluid motion she shifted, pulling a robe around herself and stepping in front of me like a shield, her voice steady and light as she answered him through the crack. Yes, helping me move some boxes, honey. We'll be down soon. He bought it. The door closed again. But when she turned back to me, the desire in her gaze had cooled into something calculated, distant, like I was just another secret she managed, a convenient way to ease her stress while her real life stayed untouched. In that frozen second, I saw myself clearly for the first time. A boy she used when she needed relief, nothing more. I'd traded my self-respect for these stolen moments, destroying the only real friendship I had left. The tonic's haze finally lifted enough for the devastation to sink in heavy and final. Lying there alone afterward, the vanilla scent still clinging stubbornly to my skin like an accusation, I stared at the ceiling until the room blurred. The silk of her sheets felt cold now, mocking. I had to walk away, even if the craving never fully left, even if every slow song or smooth fabric would forever pull me back into the memory of her nearness. Was I wrong for giving in? Did the loneliness and that damn tonic excuse any of it? Or was I just another guy who let desire ruin something real, something that could never be fixed? The ache stayed with me long after I slipped out that night, quiet as a ghost. No dramatic goodbye, no last confession. Just the quiet knowledge that had crossed a line I could never uncross, and part of me still wondered what it would feel like if things had been different. If she had seen me as more than a secret fix. If I had been strong enough to stop before the shame became permanent. Tell me in the comments, what would you have done in my place? Would you have kept sipping that tonic, chasing the heat no matter the cost? Or would you have walked away sooner, even if it left you emptier than before? If you want the full unfiltered details of how those recovery sessions actually felt, the ones that left me rambling and changed, hit like on this video and subscribe. I'll drop even more raw confessions in the next one. Thanks for listening to my story. I needed to get this off my chest. Some nights I still catch the faint trace of vanilla on the air and my heart stutters, wondering if it'll ever stop falling.